Is being busy making us productive, or is it just distracting us from what actually matters? Have you ever noticed how the first question people ask, is how are you? Then the second question they ask is, have you been busy? And almost without thinking, you answer, yeah, I've been so busy, working, I run my business or whatever you're kind of doing. And somehow being busy becomes something we're proud of. It's something that we champion. But there's a question that I want you to think about today. Is being busy actually making us productive? Or is it just distracting us from what really matters? Think about your average day. You wake up, check your phone, reply to messages, scroll through TikTok or Instagram, get ready to go to work or school and answer emails, finish assignments and watch YouTube and maybe play some games. Obviously GTA is coming out soon. And eat, dinner, and then all of a sudden, it's time to sleep. It's day done kind of thing. If it's a Friday or Saturday, maybe some people like to go out as well. And it's like we're busy all day. But if I asked you, what could you truly change in your life today? Like, if you were asked what truly changed in your life today, would you actually have an answer? What actually happened that changed your life today? Would you have an answer for that? And that's the strange thing about, modern life and how modern life works. I feel like, we're busy all day and we like the fact that we're busy all day and we want to be busy all day. We always want to have things to do, always want to have things to, go through and stuff like that. But we've mastered the concept, and the art of staying occupied and staying busy. But a lot of us have forgotten how to be intentional. Being busy feels good because it gives us the illusion that we're moving forward, that we're slowly progressing in life, one step, and we're keeping going, progressing in life slowly, and one day, we'll reach those goals that we ultimately want to reach through the grace of God. But being busy can also give us the illusion that our lives are going well because it feels good to move forward. If every minute is filled with activity, we assume that we're making progress. But I think we have to remember that motion isn't always progress. Imagine sitting in the rocking chair. You're constantly moving backwards and forwards, the trials and tribulations of life, but you're not going anywhere. Life can feel the same way. We answer another email, we watch another video, and all of a sudden, we refresh our feed. We look at that TikTok that we laughed at 5 or 6 times, and we finish another task, and we have attend another meeting, all these things compiling together. And at the end of the day, we still feel empty. Maybe it's because we've confused activity with purpose. I don't think people are afraid to work hard. I think a lot of people in a lot of areas, in all areas of the world, work extremely hard. I think if we didn't have hard workers, if we didn't have, key workers, then, the economic structure and systems would fall. I think people are more so afraid of silence, being still, just being present in the moment. That's what I think people are afraid of. Because silence forces us to ask uncomfortable questions like, am I happy? Am I actually happy? Am I becoming the person that I want to become? Do I actually enjoy this life that I'm living? Or am I just surviving? Those questions do not have easy answers. So instead of facing them, many of us fill every single moment with noise. I know a lot of people that hate being alone and that hate being by themselves, and that's fair. Silence is Silence can be much harder to handle than noise. Um, with some people, it's opposite. You know, some people like the silence. You know, they don't like the noise. But for a lot of people, you know, the way we're living, silence is a lot harder to handle than noise, because with noise, you know what's around you, you know your surroundings. With silence, it's just you and your thoughts, you and yourself. And so instead of facing it, we fill every moment with noise. Music in our ears while we're walking, videos on our screen, notifications on our phone, and constant stimulation. Anything except our thoughts. But throughout history, some of humanity's greatest moments, not from rushing, not from multitasking, from thinking, from reflecting, from asking better questions. And maybe that's something we've lost. We become experts at consuming information, but beginners at understanding who we actually are and understanding ourselves. And here's another thought. Imagine two people. It could be anyone. It could be Adam and Eve. It could be anyone. And the first person works 12 hours every single day, and they're constantly exhausted, and their calendar's full. Their inbox never reaches zero. The second person works fewer hours because every decision they make is aligned with their values. They're present within their family. They make time to learn. They rest without guilt, which is something I know a lot of people struggle with. I definitely struggle with that for sure. Which person do you think is truly productive out of those two? Most people would immediately point to the first person, because our culture celebrates visible effort, things that you can see, especially where we all come from. Our culture celebrates people who jug, people who, work hard, and you can visibly see their work, visibly see their efforts. But productivity isn't measured by how exhausted you are or how tired you feel. It's measured by whether your actions are leading you forward in a life that you actually want to live. Sometimes the most productive thing you can say is no. No is a powerful word. No to another commitment, maybe. No to another distraction. No to another expectation that does not belong to you. Because everything costs. There's a cost for everything. Everything has a value. Everything has a value. But every yes you say always costs you something. Every single yes, whether that's your time, your money, your mental state, every yes you say costs you something. So you have to figure out whether the cost is worth that answer. It can cost time. And that time is one thing you can never get back. And just think about it for a second. Money can be replaced. Possessions can be bought again. But today only happens once. Once it's gone forever. So why do we spend so much of it doing things we don't even remember a week later? Maybe because we've been taught that our worth comes from what we produce. If there's no visible production value from what we're doing, whether that's short term or middle term, then that's where our value apparently derives from. But does your value disappear? Because, there's no visible productivity. People can't see what you're doing. Does that mean your value disappears? What happens when you need to rest? What actually happens? How is that seen? And of course your value doesn't disappear. Of course not. You are still valuable and you are still human. Rest isn't laziness, and reflection isn't a waste of time. Sometimes slowing down and taking a moment to grasp things is actually what allows us to, make the right decision. We've all been there. We haven't slowed down. We made a rash decision, and now we're stuck in a kind of loop that we're struggling to get out of. We've all been there, whether you're in there right now or you've been there before. And sometimes it's like slowing down helps us to understand the situations that we're in. Instead of kind of running towards opportunity or running towards our goal, slowing down can help us just breathe and calm and relax, and help us kind of figure out what we want us to do. Success without direction, is that really success? Is that really success? If you're successful but without a direction, is that really successful? Because to me, it sounds like it's just speed. Maybe the better question is, what actually deserves your time? Instead of asking yourself, how can I do more? Ask yourself, what actually deserves your time? What kind of things deserve your time? Because that's a much harder question. But it might also be the one that completely changes your life. So next time someone asks you if you've been busy, maybe ask yourself something different. Have I been intentional? Have I spent time with the people I actually love? Have I grown? Have I learned something? Have I become a little bit wiser than I was from yesterday? Because one meaningful day is worth more than another one filled with just endless activities that don't give us time to sit down, think, and process. I'd rather live a life filled with purpose, filled with belonging, and filled with genuine desire than a life of endless activities. What about you? What about you? So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I literally wrote a whole script down, so it's a lot to remember. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, on Instagram and anywhere. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and yeah, take care.